on, everybody? Thanks for tuning back into another episode of The Loud Bostonian. Today, we're going to be covering Transformers. What I mean by that is we're going to be covering the Bumblebee movie that's coming out in December. There's a lot of news going around the internet about different Autobots and Decepticons that may have cameos in this film. And really, I just want to touch base on what I think this film's going to be and what I think this film could be for moving forward with future Transformers franchises. We're also going to be touching base slightly at the end of this on some Green Lantern rumors that have been floating around the internet. But right off the bat, let's jump right back into the Bumblebee talk here. So obviously Bumblebee's coming out in December. It's on the same December 21st date, which is when Aquaman and Alita Battle Angel are coming out. I imagine one of those three films, if not two of them, are going to jump dates to a different day. You're really hurting yourself if you try to come out against competition like that, and I imagine Bumblebee will be the one to jump since there's probably more hype behind Aquaman than anything else. Now, Alita Battle Angel, that might stay that date because it's a smaller film and it's probably wasn't going to do the numbers anyways, but that might be a good reason for it to move as well, because if you want to get the most out of your money for this movie coming out, you have to move it. Aquaman's probably going to destroy it at the box office, so we'll see what happens with that. But anyways, so Bumblebee's coming out. A lot of people out there are wondering if this movie is going to relaunch the franchise. Now, the Transformers franchise obviously had 5 previous movies, and they've all been pretty terrible. The first movie, I think, was pretty damn good, but it might just be the nostalgia factor for me that's kicking in for that. I loved Transformers growing up. It was my favorite thing to watch as a child. We rented the 1986 movie so many times in my house that the video store literally let us keep it. And I had videotapes of all the first 2 seasons of that show, and constantly, all the toys, you name it. I was a Transformers fanatic. I still am to this day. I believe the best iteration of Transformers out there is the IDW comics, and if any of you have a chance to check those out, I really suggest you pick them up. It limits the human interaction entirely, and there's several different arcs they can go in. The initial run obviously is similar to them coming to Earth, so there is human contact, but then it splits into 2 amazing storylines, which is Robots in Disguise and More Than Meets the Eye. The Robots in Disguise storyline takes place completely on Cybertron, following a massive split between the surviving members of the Autobots and Decepticon factions coming together. And the More Than Meets the Eye franchise splits into several of those Autobots and Decepticons together, shooting off into space to find the Knights of Cybertron, these famed or mythical Cybertronians that supposedly were the originals to bring peace and justice to their planet. So it's kind of, the storyline splits, but there's a lot of references between them. They're very good comics. I recommend you pick them up immensely. Now, what are they going to do in Bumblebee? Bumblebee is set in 1985, so it is a prequel to the first Transformers film. It stars Haley Steinfeld and John Cena. Haley Steinfeld plays a girl who, by similar storyline to the first Transformers movie, finds her first car, and it is Bumblebee. Now, in this movie, Bumblebee is going to be his Volkswagen Bug G1 form. And based on the character designs that I've seen and the robot design, he looks fantastic. He looks so much better than he did in any of the other iterations, and I really feel like this film is going to honor G1 character design. As you can see from the little hint of Starscream being in the film, he looks just like G1 Starscream. Gray and red jet, similar shaped face, and I don't know how big their roles are going to be in this movie. He's obviously he's probably the main villain, I would imagine, but it looks awesome. And there's rumors out there that there's going to be or at least some footage shot on Cybertron, which we haven't seen, like ground level Cybertron, except for that one flashback of Megatron's backstory in the first Transformers film, and then some aerial action in Transformers Dark of the Moon. But I'm interested to see that. I know there's rumors of Soundwave being in the movie. Hopefully he has a similar G1 design. I don't want to see him as like a tape deck, but something similar to that, like Cybertronian-ish kind of communication device or listening device that looks like a tape deck would be pretty sweet to see. I don't know if I'll go that far. I know that Peter Cullen, the guy that voices Optimus Prime, is on the movie as doing at least a voiceover for Optimus Prime, so I don't know if that's going to be in some narrational opener or if you're actually going to see him. I can't imagine you're not going to see him. But anyways, this movie could do a lot of things. It could either flow into the original Transformers movie that we saw, the 2007 movie with Shia LaBeouf, or it could totally revamp this thing and relaunch it into a totally different franchise. I'm hoping for the latter because I really think that if with the right directors and the right people caring about the stories, we could get the Transformers movie everybody's been waiting for. At least fans like me have been waiting for. The first movie was close to hitting those notes. There's a couple notes, but it really wasn't good. And after that, it was just a mess. Michael Bay, great action director. He has a great eye for getting the right shots. He's not the best director when it comes to telling stories. So until we get somebody behind it, and I don't know if the new director is going to be able to capture the story, but from what I can tell from the trailers, it looks like it's a really small story with a lot of heart, which is really, really the best way to go about telling a Transformers story. But who knows? I'm really hoping this relaunches this entire franchise, and I wouldn't even care if it's just a simple post-credit scene that shows the Ark and the Decepticon ship, the Nemesis, crashing on Earth. I mean, something as simple as that, and having the doors open and having a few of G1 characters like Optimus Prime or, Sideswipe, Ratchet, Ironhide, all those beloved G1 characters stepping out, and just, especially if it shows each of them scanning their own vehicle, and it being more in their classic. I mean, I don't want to see Ironhide as a minivan, but so like a red pickup truck would be a pretty cool thing for Ironhide. I just want the classic designs. Honestly, I'm a nostalgia freak, so if you give me the nostalgic characters design and even just the simplest hint of a story that is not what Michael Bay was doing, then I will be on board with this movie, and I'll be on board for the next 5 that you make. You just got to do it that way. You gotta get the character designs right. You got to have a simple, easy to follow, decent story. That's really all you need to do to get people back on board with this franchise, I believe. And it's not that people aren't on board with the franchise. The movies have made tons of money, but they've never been critical success, and over the years, even people who cared for the movies as they went along have dwindled and died off of them. So I hope that this Bumblebee is a relaunching point for this entire franchise, because Transformers deserves the best care, because it is one of the most beloved franchise on the planet. If the Marvel movies can get an entire 22 arc universe together between all these movies, there's no excuse for us not to get at least 3 or 4 good Transformers movies. I mean, it's not much to ask for. But anyways, I want to know what you guys think about this movie. What characters do you want to see show up? What future iterations of these characters would you like to see, and what storylines would you like to see follow through? Obviously, there's only so many to choose from based on there's tons of stories, but I'd like to know if there's any classic Transformers arcs you want to see. Obviously, the Unicron arc would be pretty sweet, but again, you don't jump right into Unicron. You got to do that down the line. So let me know in the comments any of the Transformers you want to see show up, any of the storylines you want to see show up, and any of the classic designs you want to see, or what tweaks would you make to make them a little cooler. Like Ironhide being a minivan would be pretty lame, but if there's any vehicles you think would work, especially if they're set in the 80s, just let me know. From there, we're going to jump right into the other news, which is the Green Lantern news that's kicking around. Now, there has been 2 sets of rumors kicking around on the internet, and one of them might be old news, but supposedly DC has reached out to Tom Cruise to be Hal Jordan in the Green Lantern Corps film. Now, what they're planning on doing with the Green Lantern Corps is they're planning on doing an older Hal Jordan, which was the character Tom Cruise would be playing, mentoring a younger or a new Green Lantern. And there's rumors out there that Idris Elba is being sought after to play Jon Stewart, or what's the guy's name? I can't remember his name. The actor from This Is Us. He's also being sought after as supposed. Those are like the 2 top runners to be Jon Stewart in the Green Lantern Corps movie. Tom Cruise, however, has come out and said that he doesn't want to do a movie where they kill off Hal Jordan. So I'm not sure if what DC's plans are for the Green Lantern Corps films. If you're planning on if you're getting someone like Tom Cruise to jump on board to play the character, he wants to do it for a few films, it sounds like. Now, whether that means you bring him into the first movie, train him, he survives the first movie, dies in the second movie, something like that, maybe. But I can't imagine Tom Cruise is the type of person that would get a role like this and not want to be able to play in this sandbox for as long as he can. Now, people have been clamoring for the Jon Stewart Green Lantern, and honestly, that's a good palate cleanse to get you to forget about the Ryan Reynolds version of the Green Lantern Corps, or the Green Lantern that was portrayed years ago. But a lot of people's go-to Green Lantern is Hal Jordan, so I could see there being some confusion to people who might not know these characters as well, but then all of a sudden you see Jon Stewart versus Hal Jordan, and there's there could be some confusion there for people who don't follow the comics like I do. Like most of the nerds out there in the world do. But So that's part of the rumor, is this Tom Cruise thing, and I actually like it. At first I was thinking Tom Cruise is too old; it wouldn't be cool. But honestly, there's got to be a part in the world. There's got to be a storyline out there where everybody's brain goes back to Top Gun, because Hal Jordan's a test pilot. That's his thing. He's a fighter pilot, test pilot. So immediately my mind goes to Top Gun, that you could somehow, in like a goofy nod kind of way, you could push it back to Top Gun. I mean, obviously it's not canon to have Top Gun in the DC universe, but a fun nod to it, like calling him Maverick really quick, would be hilarious. And I think it could work really well. Tom Cruise always gives 110% in every movie he's in, so I can't imagine him getting a role like this would end poorly. I think he would be. I actually think he'd be a damn good Hal Jordan, because he can be funny, he can be, serious, and we know he can do action. All the Mission Impossible movies prove he can do action. And in fact, it's probably likely that if we're keeping Henry Cavill as Superman, Tom Cruise, who just worked with him in Mission Impossible Fallout, it's probably a segue in to the DC universe, and they work so great on screen together. I would love to see those two on screen as Superman and Green Lantern. So I'm a big fan of this idea to move forward. The other joke that's coming, or the other story that's coming out around Green Lantern, is apparently Mark Wahlberg was being sought after to play Hal Jordan for a while. As somebody who's from Boston, I can't imagine seeing Mark Wahlberg in this role at all. I love Mark Wahlberg. Part of me, as a Bostonian, I always have to. But he would ruin a superhero movie like this. I would not. I mean, you already got Batflick, bringing the Boston end to Batman. I cannot picture Mark Wahlberg with his thick Boston accent that he has being Hal Jordan. Like, can you imagine the Departed scenes where he's, just got that thick accent and he's talking down to, like, Leonardo DiCaprio and all this stuff. Imagine that from Hal Jordan. I can't picture it at all. There's some people on the internet are saying that he could play Guy Gardner, and I just don't know if that's going to work at all either, because that's another iteration of Green Lantern, and maybe, it's closer, I suppose, but I wouldn't want Mark Wahlberg to touch anything like this that I care about. I like Mark Wahlberg. I like some of his movies, but I keep him away from the DC universe. They had enough problems. We don't need to add Mark Wahlberg to it. But yeah, that's really all I got today, guys. It was just a funny few things I wanted to talk about. So hopefully like this video, subscribe to my channel. In the comments below, let me know who you think would make the better Green Lantern. If you'd rather see the Jon Stewart story with either Idris Elba or the actor from This Is Us, or if you'd actually like somebody else, maybe somebody that hasn't been brought in at all, Tom Cruise or Mark Wahlberg. I'm sure none of you want Mark Wahlberg. I can't imagine anyone out there wants Mark Wahlberg. And also let me know the stuff I asked you about the Transformers franchise, what you think about Bumblebee coming out, and if you'd like to see it be a total reissue of the franchise, or if you'd like to see it continue into the 2007 Transformers franchise that was created. Anyways, like this video, subscribe to my channel, and let me know in the comments any of the things you have. Also, if there's any videos you guys want to see me make in the future, please hit the comment section and tell me about them. I'm happy to put anything out there that you guys want to see. Thanks.